let me put you guys up on game. Because I don't think you know. If you don't know that song, I'm going to give you guys a hint, even though I told you I need you guys to start guessing these songs. That's Welcome to Atlanta. Jermaine Dupri, Ludacris. And that's as close as the Eagles are going to get to Atlanta, where the Super Bowl is being held. If they go on to Pandora, YouTube, and listen to that song, that's the closest they're getting. Because after that game yesterday, season's over. And again, I refuse to talk about them first. I told you guys I wasn't impressed unless they won this game. Both teams looked pathetic. Both teams didn't want to win the game. And unfortunately, the Eagles lost. Or maybe fortunately, because this means change. But I'll get into that. Welcome. Actually, this is a monumental moment. We have actually changed the name of the show. It was the Unofficial Review, but now it is called the Chuck It Up Show. So again, I appreciate all you guys' support. New name, same great content. And again, you can find us on YouTube. Just search Chuck It Up and we'll be there. Again, new name, Chuck It Up, same great content. Weekly schedule right now that we have is new podcast every Wednesday. And then Mondays we have set up for the new series called Real Talk, talking about life and entrepreneurship. The Wednesday series, these series, the episode you're watching today is called Down and Distance series. And again, those are specifically for sports. So we appreciate your guys' support, your continued support. And we are going to get onto the show. But before that, let me give a big shout out to the sponsor of this episode, King of the Game. Best in high school sports highlights. Make sure you guys check them out for all of your sporting video needs on Instagram and Twitter at KOTG Media. Or you can go on YouTube, search King of the Game, or you can go on their website at kotgmedia.com. And again, I won't start with the Eagles because, they pissed me off. So we're going to go right into college football. Well, I called this in my last episode, if you guys heard me. If you guys listened to the last episode. Kyler Murray wins the Heisman. That's Oklahoma's second Heisman Trophy winner in 2 straight years. He edges out Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama, the quarterback, by 296 votes. And Tua, who received 1,871 votes, was the most by a runner-up in the Heisman Trophy history. So, again, unfortunately, I called this. Tua's last game versus Georgia cost him, not only because he had a bad game, but because Jalen Hurts actually came in and did well. Made it look like, Tua is replaceable, even though I don't think he is. So Tua, was definitely displayed some sportsmanship, and congratulate Kyler Murray. I wouldn't expect anything less from Tua. And the fortunate thing is that we're going to hopefully see them play against each other in the first round of the playoffs as Oklahoma takes on Alabama. So I am excited about that game. I think Oklahoma has the best chance of knocking off Alabama. If Oklahoma doesn't win, then Alabama is going to be the national champions. If Tua doesn't play in this Oklahoma game, Alabama might be in trouble. Currently favored on Oklahoma by 2 touchdowns, 14 points. And again, if Tua is not playing, which they're saying he will be able to play, he's overcoming an ankle injury from the last game against Georgia. If Tua doesn't play, Alabama will be in trouble. I don't think Jalen Hurts, again, he showed that he did well in the Georgia game, but again, he came off the bench. They didn't really game plan for him. So if he's to play, I'm sure Oklahoma will be ready for either quarterback. But again, if Tua plays, I don't think Oklahoma has a shot. If he doesn't play, then I give Oklahoma a pretty good shot of winning that game. Now, Kyler Murray has been the talks for good reasons and bad reasons. Obviously, winning the Heisman is going to get you, a lot of good publicity. But in the new age of social media, that's going to get you some bad publicity as well, because there's always somebody looking to put something negative out there about somebody that had a big accomplishment. I mean, you've heard it with the Kevin Hart incident in the Oscars that made him drop out of the Oscars or hosting the Oscars. You've had NFL players come in right before they actually come into the league or get drafted. You see these tweets and messages of them either doing stupid things or somebody bringing up previous tweets that they've had years prior to that. And Kyler Murray winning the Heisman is no different. Someone decided to go back into his Twitter history and pull up a tweet where he was using some homophobic language. Again, I'm not going to tell you how people should take this. People are able to take it however they want. But the fact that it comes out after he wins the Heisman Trophy was very, malicious. Obviously, they wanted to bring him down when he's at his all-time high. Now, if this information came out sooner, it just seemed like a setup, obviously. But again, I'm not going to say how people should react to this. Some are going to react to it as if, Kyler Murray is, homophobic. Some of them will act as if, hey, this was, when he was a high schooler, he was a teenager. He might not think that way anymore, X, Y, Z. So, again, I'll leave it at that. But Twitter, for NFL players, for anybody, actually, any person using social media, number one, make sure you think before you press send. Get that from Coach Herman Edwards of ASU. Make sure you read it before you press send. And also, if you do write some crazy things, I mean, again, you got to remember, this is an online archive. So if you had Twitter for 10 years and you didn't delete anything, you might have, because people change, right? People change their perceptions. They might change how they think, or they might not. People are able to go back, even after 10 years, 6, 7 years, whatever it is, and then go back, look at specific tweets, and then argue or bring up the fact that you think X, Y, Z. So this happens every year, and it will continue to happen. But players and people that use social media need to be smarter. And, again, in this case, it was a situation where someone brought it up specifically after he won the Heisman Trophy, where he ended up giving an apology, and, rightfully so. But, again, the timing of it was a little odd and it was a little weird. Now, the next conversation with Kyler Murray has been whether he should play football, if he should continue his career with football and declare for the NFL draft, or go to the MLB and play baseball. Now, there's pros and cons for each of them. If he goes to the NFL, number one, he's going to have to give back, I think it was $3 or $4 million that the A's gave him when they drafted him. And obviously, right now, Kyler Murray, when you're selected as the Heisman, you're the best player in college football. So he could definitely play football, but I don't think that he's built for the NFL. I just don't think he's built to be a quarterback in the NFL. Can he make plays in the NFL? Of course. I mean, dude is a legit dual threat. I think he does. I don't know if he can consistently make passes to be successful in the NFL. This year, he's been absolutely amazing. He's proven that he can play quarterback at a high level, but again, I think when it comes to NFL, it's different. You're not going to be able to run away from NFL players like you are college players. And also, you're not going to be going against Big 12 defenses. You're going to be going against professionals that are getting paid and that need to make plays. You're not going to be scoring 50 points every game. So, and if it was up to me, I'm picking MLB. Number one, MLB, the average salary for MLB doubles the average salary for the NFL. Now, yes, quarterbacks, they get paid more, but then again, an average player will get paid more than a quarterback. And, you know, it might be close, but the not the equalizer, but the difference is MLB contracts are guaranteed, fully guaranteed. And I can guarantee you that Kyler Murray, if he does decide to play baseball, he will see more money in baseball than he will football. And I don't care what anyone says, because now that he won the Heisman, the A's are going to feature him, because Kyler Murray will sell tickets, he will sell jerseys. The A's will make sure that he is one of the, you know, I mean, obviously he's not a pitcher, but they're going to try to make him the face of the franchise. Again, Kyler Murray is box office. You know, he's a well-known name. He's a household name. Even though he doesn't play baseball, he's the Heisman winner. He can get a lot of attention, whether that be from ESPN and sports shows to fans that, you know, love baseball and football, or Oklahoma fans that want to, you know, switch over to watching baseball to support a former Sooner. So again, I think it's a pretty easy decision. I don't think it comes close. Kyler Murray needs to be playing in the MLB next year, and if he doesn't, I mean, if it's in his heart to play football, you know, who am I to say he's wrong? I hope him the best, but financially, I believe MLB will be a better option. Obviously, NFL is more glitz and glamour, but MLB, that's that guaranteed money. That's that guaranteed money. So best of luck to Kyler Murray. I'm excited to watch Alabama versus Oklahoma in the semifinals of the college football playoffs. I think that's the more intriguing matchup of the two. I believe Clemson blows out Notre Dame. And I believe that, again, the Alabama-Oklahoma game is going to be the more exciting of the two. Definitely going to be more high scoring. And if you guys think that Oklahoma is not going to score 30 points, you must be crazy. Because I can tell you one thing, Arkansas was able to score 31 points on Oklahoma. Or not on Oklahoma, but on Alabama. Teams could score on Alabama. And I think historically, again, I've said this before, historically speaking, Alabama has had difficult times when they went against a mobile quarterback, and Kyler Murray is just that. And also, you know, the Heisman Trophy winner. So he's playing at a high level. He's been playing the best I've ever seen him play. And, you know, it's very impressive, because at first I was not high on Kyler Murray. But then again, he's making plays and I'm happy for him. So, you know, I wish him nothing but the best. But staying in the Big 12, because there was some big news that came out this week and then also last week. And I can't skip it anymore. The Big 12 is star-studded when it comes to coaches. Star-studded. If you guys don't know, they literally, Kansas State hired Chris Kleiman, the head coach of North Dakota State University. And for some of you that think that, hey, you know, it's just North Dakota State, that's not really a big hiring. You have to be joking. And I completely forgot about Chris Kleiman. One of the hottest coaches, one of the best coaches in the nation. I don't care at what level. The man knows football. North Dakota State has won 6 national championships in a row, 3 of them in which Chris Kleiman was the head coach. And if I go back to Chris Kleiman's history at North Dakota State, I mean, he's a winner. Overall, just as a head coach in general, regardless of team, he's 70-13. Just think about that. 70-13 with North Dakota State, 67-6. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And for those that think that they don't play anybody, they've had a few upsets through the years, including the one that you guys might have seen a couple years ago versus Iowa, where Iowa was ranked number 13 in the nation. They went to Iowa and beat them 23-21. Probably one of the better games I've seen, one of the more exciting games I've seen. Obviously, one of the bigger upsets. I wouldn't say it's a bigger upset, because North Dakota State is a powerhouse, well-known powerhouse. But then again, you know, you're going into the Big Ten. Who expects North Dakota State to go on the road and beat Iowa. And after that game, I said, hey, North Dakota State, no one that wants to play for a national championship will schedule North Dakota State, because they will, if they don't give you a hard time, they might just outright ruin your chances of making it to the national championship game, let alone the college football playoffs. And I'm looking at their schedule upcoming as far as big games and competition in the FBS. In 2020, they're scheduled to go against Oregon. 2022, they're scheduled to go against Arizona. 2024, scheduled to go against Colorado. Even though Chris Kleiman has left, North Dakota State has a program. It's a good program. So the next coach, I'm sure, will be able to continue the success. I don't know at which level, but they'll be able to continue the success. And, those 3 Pac-12 teams I named, they're going to have some, it's going to be a difficult game. I'm glad I don't see ASU on here, because I don't know if ASU would be able to beat them. But also, if you guys heard, Kansas also hired Les Miles. So there's a lot of good coaches in the Big 12. Again, this, as far as name recognition, and you got Lincoln Riley, Herman, now Les Miles, Kleiman. I unfortunately got rid of Cliff Kingsbury, but I think that was one of those things where it was a mutual agreement to part ways. Mike Gundy with Oklahoma State and more. So again, the Big 12, it's not known for defense. It's known for high-scoring, exciting football. And with these coaches, there's going to be a recruiting shift as far as players going to the Big 12. You're going to see more players go to the Big 12 because, again, it's exciting. They're putting out players in the NFL, and it's going to be exciting to see the Big 12 and how that plays out, especially with Kansas and Kansas State, making 2 huge acquisitions for their coaching. And after the first day Chris Kleiman gets hired, he already has a recruit committed to the school after he got hired. So that tells you enough on what recruits think about him. And he literally just started. He's just getting started. Now, I'm gonna make this quick. This is a quick segment. UFC. I talked about this last time. Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega. And it was pretty apparent early. Again, this is UFC 231 this past Saturday. It was pretty apparent early that Max Holloway, even though he had the long layoff, even though he had the health issues, he hasn't skipped a beat. He looks exactly the same. If anything, he looks a lot better. He definitely surprised me against Brian Ortega with his takedown defense. I think Brian Ortega was able to get him down to the ground once, but he wasn't able to keep him down there. And while they're on their feet, Max Holloway was damn near picking them apart. Now, he was picking them apart. I don't know if you guys seen the meme with Martin, Martin Lawrence, the show where the dude's all lumped up. That's what Brian Ortega looked like after the fight. It was so bad that his corner had to throw in the towel after the 4th round, because the 5th round would have been damn near a formality if they had to fight, because the fight was already over. Everybody knew what was going to happen in the 5th round. The corner seen it, they threw in the flag. They got to protect the fighter. Obviously, Ortega would have went in no matter what. He was upset. He's a competitor, and I can't fault him for that. But his corner did a good job in calling the fight, because it wasn't going to get any better than that. Any other fighter that didn't have, well, I wouldn't say didn't have heart, but doesn't have a chin, Max Holloway would have knocked them out by the 2nd round. That's how bad the shots Ortega was taking. It's like Max Holloway couldn't miss. I think he set a record with most significant strikes landed in a fight. So Max Holloway, I think Dana White was talking about having him move up to 155. Obviously, you have Khabib up there, Ferguson, I mean, you got some guys at 155. I think Max Holloway could potentially do well at 155. At the same time with Khabib, Khabib's a lot better wrestler as far as being able to take fighters down. Khabib is a lot better than Ortega. I can promise you that. And Max Holloway is a stand-up guy. He has skills again with takedown defense, but Khabib is just gonna maul you. He's gonna maul you. If he gets you on the ground, you're not getting up. Ask McGregor. So Max Holloway, people consider him as one of the best ever when it comes to a lightweight division. And, it's hard to argue against that. I mean, you've had right now he's tied for second when it comes to win streaks in the UFC. Only behind Anderson, the Spider, Silva at 16. Anderson Silva's at 16. Max Holloway's at 13, and I believe he's tied with like George St. Pierre, John Jones, Demetrius Johnson. I can't remember all the names, but there was about 4 or 5 guys that are tied with Max Holloway. If not, those are all 4 or 5 of them. But Max Holloway is on a run. Unfortunately, they put his face up there, so now there's pressure to win that number 14 spot. When it comes to title defenses and win streaks, it seems like once they realize and start putting your name up there with some of the greats, some of the Hall of Famers of the sport, that's when the pressure gets too big, and then that's when the loss comes. So let's see who Max Holloway fights next. I mean, he could fight McGregor, but I'm sure McGregor wants his rematch at Khabib, which I think he should stay the hell away from him and just forget that ever happened. Or just, I don't know, I think he has a fight deal, so he's going to be fighting again for sure. He's asked for the Khabib rematch. We don't know where that's at. But Max Holloway is probably one of my favorite fighters. And I can remember the time I seen him first was against Ricardo Lamas. And you guys can search this up on YouTube. I will post it, but I don't want to get my video taken down. Ricardo Lamas, Max Holloway. There was about 12 seconds left in the match. Max Holloway is standing right in front of Lamas, and then starts pointing at the ground like, yeah, we're good. Let's stay right here and start throwing. And both of them, I mean, they didn't talk, but when Max was pointing down, I was like, let's do this. Both of them started bombing each other. Just throwing straight haymakers, head down for 10 seconds. Probably one of the better exchanges, one of the most exciting ends to a fight that I've ever seen. And, the only thing I can think of as far as exchanges that might have been up there was Clay Guida and Diego Sanchez. If you guys haven't seen that fight, just watch the first 15 seconds of that fight. And these guys just started running at each other and just started throwing heavy hands, throwing haymakers. Diego Sanchez ended up getting the best of that by throwing like 5, 6, 7 uppercuts in a row. Every single one of them landing. So again, if you guys haven't had a chance to check that out on YouTube, the Clay Guida, Diego Sanchez, or you can check out the Halloway Ortega fight. The highlights are up on YouTube by the UFC. So again, Halloway looks sharp, man. He looks sharp. So I'm excited to see who he fights next. Now, it's time. It's time to get into the Eagle game. Eagles-Cowboys yesterday. Battle for the lead in the NFC East, or the NFC least. It was a must-win game for the Eagles to get into the playoffs, because I feel like the Eagles could still win out, but I mean, right now the Eagles sit at 6-7. Dallas sits at 8-5, 2-game lead. Damn near a 3-game lead because they hold the tiebreaker over the Eagles. So Dallas, I believe, needs to win one more game to lock up the division, or definitely 2 games to 2 of the last 3 games they can lock up the division. I think If the Eagles lose and Washington loses their next game and Dallas wins, division is over. That's how pathetic the division is. They could potentially win the division going 8-8, and they could definitely win it with 9-7. So let me get into this game because there's a few things I need to talk about. Number one, this is not the whole reason why the Eagles lost, but the referees. I mean, there was bad calls on both sides. I think that the Eagles got the worst of it, starting off with the beginning of the game where there was a clear fumble by Lewis when Malcolm Jenkins hit him and was clearly recovered by the Eagles. The referees, I mean, it was a clear fumble. It was a clear recovery. There was no Cowboys in the area or the vicinity of the ball. Referees said that there was no clear recovery and awarded the ball to Dallas, which was a huge mistake. And I think that set the tone as far as what I was thinking was going to happen for the game. And that was just the beginning. Again, there were several questionable calls. And again, I'm not going to say that lost in the game because the Eagles had multiple chances to win the game, but it didn't help. The next big one that you guys are going to hear is the Dallas Goedert touchdown, where Dallas Goedert is running a route. Heath is man coverage. Dallas Goedert, basically does the swim move to get past him, and he does create separation. There's no extended arm. Catches it and goes probably about 60 yards for a touchdown. Two things wrong with that. Number one, they threw a flag on a play for offensive pass interference, which was ridiculous. And I don't even think I need to get into that. If you guys watch the film, if you guys actually know football, if you watch the play, there was no offensive pass interference. There was no extended arm to create separation. He just got Heath with a good move, and that's number one. Number two, he got hit right in the head. As soon as he caught the ball, I mean, his helmet almost goes flying off because of safety. I can't remember his name. Probably Woods. It goes straight for the helmet, hits him. Luckily for Goddard, he's already trying to spin off of that, and then just starts running. So that was actually called back for offensive PI. Again, if you guys didn't watch that play specifically, go check it out and let me know what you think. If you guys thought that was offensive PI, then go ahead and leave your message on Anchor. I'll go ahead and play it. Make sure you say your name, just so everybody knows who's saying this stuff. Number two, I've been saying this for a while. Amari Cooper is worth a first-round pick. But I'm starting to see that, he might be worth two first-round picks. That's not the case. Amari Cooper ended the game with 3 touchdowns. I got a stats right here. 10 receptions, 217 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, I want to be very clear with this. Amari Cooper can ball. He's worth a first-round pick. I wanted the Eagles to trade a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. That's how good I thought he was. But this is not a normal 217, 3 touchdowns. There's several asterisks with this. Number one, he's going against the worst defensive backs and corners in football. All of these guys didn't play last year, except for Rasul Douglas, which Amari Cooper didn't catch a big bomb over him. Sidney Jones had a torn Achilles last year, played 1 game, which was Week 17 versus Dallas. So technically this is his rookie year. He gets hurt early in the game for a hamstring, and then he was sitting out for a good quarter and a half. And for some odd reason, they put him back in the game after they stated that he had a hamstring issue and had him covering Amari Cooper. Obviously, Dallas and Dak realized realized that he's back on the field, and Dak didn't have any read, just dropped back and threw it that way every single time. And Amari Cooper ran by him every single time. And at first I was like, okay, if Sidney Jones is there, he's healthy, then why is he getting ran right by? They showed the slow motion. You can see Sidney Jones kicking his leg while he's running because his hamstring. He wasn't 100%. Soft tissue issue. If you guys have never had a hamstring issue, then you have no idea what was going on there. I mean, a hamstring issue is probably one of the worst soft tissue injuries that you could have, especially as a football player, especially as a cornerback. So somebody in the medical staff, one of the coaches, whoever the hell told Sidney Jones he could go back on the field needs to be questioned. If anything, they need to be fired, because putting out a player like that and putting the whole team at risk is just terrible. When Sidney Jones went out, they put in Bosby. I don't even know his first name. The dude was on the street in the beginning of the season. It wasn't even on the roster. It wasn't even on a practice squad. They put him in on Amari Cooper. Ran stride for stride with Amari Cooper, and when the ball was in the air, he looked up and just didn't even see it. It was right there in front of his face. Let Amari Cooper catch it, run for a touchdown, and then the last touchdown by Amari Cooper. I can still picture Dak in the middle of the field when he threw the touchdown like this. And for those that can't listen, I put my arms to the side and looking up. That's what Dak was doing when he threw that last touchdown pass. The only thing was, it was a horrible touchdown pass. It probably should have been intercepted. Rasul Douglas made a great break on the ball. He knew exactly what was being run. It was a slant route. He jumped the slant, hit the ball, but the way he hit it, it bounced off his hand, popped in the air, and Amari Cooper had enough awareness to locate the ball in the air, grab it, and literally walk in for a touchdown in overtime. So again, great game by Amari Cooper. Took advantage of who he was going against and what was, everything happened well for him. Eagles, again, the referees weren't the reason why they lost. There were several reasons. Number one, offense. The first half, offense was horrible. Jake Elliott missing an extra point, which obviously at the end of the game, if he makes that extra point, the Eagles win. It doesn't go into overtime. So Jake Elliott had a horrible timing with his first extra point miss of the season. So he needs to clean that up, because you can't be missing extra points, man. It's supposed to be that. I mean, they're not easy anymore because they're not 10 yards out, but at the same time, 35 yards for an NFL kicker, those need to be routine. Mike Groh, the offensive coordinator, needs to be fired. It's his first year. I don't care. He needs to be fired. Offense looks horrible. They have no excuse. Out of the offense and defense, the offensive have had a worse fall than the defense as far as comparing them to last year. The defense was elite. Obviously, they're not elite this year, and the majority of that is due to the injuries. Offense, they've had injuries as well, specifically to the running back position. But again, the rest of the team, if anything, the offense should be a lot better than it was last year, and it's just not the case. And you can blame that. Carson Wentz definitely deserves some criticism. Unfortunately, I've heard some Eagle fans saying that he's holding us back and that he needs to go and X, Y, Z. Look, let's calm that down. He's coming back from injury. He routinely makes these throws. Well, at least last year he did. And if you look at his stats, he's still one of the best quarterbacks in football. It's just when you watch the game as an Eagle fan, you can see certain things, and the stats don't tell the whole story. So Carson Wentz needs to clean it up. I don't know if he's 100% healthy. But at the same time, a lot of the mistakes he was making yesterday wasn't due to health. When you double take, when you pump fake, you're not confident. Okay, that might be due to health. If you're throwing off your back foot, that might be due to not being comfortable with your knee. But when you're dropping back, locking in on a receiver and throwing it into coverage, and what should have been a few interceptions, I can't say that's because of injury. Those are just horrible reads. Those are just bad reads. And, Doug Peterson's not helping him out. Mike Grove, whoever the idiot is calling plays on 3rd and 4th down. These guys are just, it's unbelievable. Carson Wentz had a few design quarterback runs, and it's like, dude, if it works, you look good. If it doesn't work, but why do you want to run Carson Wentz? You want him to throw the ball. He can run, but he's not a running quarterback. He's a guy that's going to throw it. And again, the offense is very predictable. It's terrible play calling. It doesn't seem like they are. They did end up, adapting and figuring out and changing up the scheme in the second half, specifically in the fourth quarter, because they started getting more yards. But it took them three quarters to do so. And Doug Peterson, who's supposed to be an offensive guru, this is a joke. The defense played out of their mind. As much as I was talking bad about the defensive backs and the corners, the defense played their best game of the season. And, with the corners they had, to hold Dallas to that many points was actually very impressive. And again, I think that Jim Schwartz deserves one more year, because with all these injuries, you can't, and there's a lot of Eagle fans that want him gone. I can respect that decision, but at the same time, who the hell are we going to hire? Jim Schwartz, again, he took when he came in, the Eagles' defense was horrible. It was coming off the Billy Davis era. Jim Schwartz made that defense average in his first year. The second year, they were elite. I think they were number 4 in scoring defense and total yards. Number 4. Top 5 defense last year. And then this year, bad start, and then all these injuries. Now, I think they're around 13 scoring defense, which is pretty solid with the players that you have now. But I think yardage-wise, they're a bend but don't break. So they're giving up a lot of yards, but they're not giving up a lot. They're not giving up nearly as much points as they should. And I think Jim Schwartz deserves another year. If anything, somebody on the offensive side needs to get fired. But we do need another offensive coordinator. Mike Grove is not that guy, and he's, I don't see it. If Doug Peterson didn't win a Super Bowl last year, he would be on the hot seat right now. And then lastly, Malcolm Jenkins calls out the referees, so we can expect a fine coming soon for Malcolm Jenkins telling the refs they need to stay off the bottle. Stay off the bottle. In other news, one of the other games, I'm going to make this quick. You guys, I have a few more minutes left. I want to talk about one more game because it's a pretty telling game. Now, if I had to go back on my top 5 from last week with Kareem Hunt out, I can't put the Chiefs at number 1. I can't put the Chiefs at number 1. I would have to shift I would have to go now. It had to be Saints, Rams, Chiefs. I think Patriots are number 4 for me, and then the Bears are number 5. And speaking of the Bears, they beat the Rams yesterday, and I still got to keep them at number 5 because I don't think that the Bears could duplicate that performance in the playoffs, especially if they have to go to LA, which most likely would be the case if they met the Rams again. Rams are 11-2 after yesterday. The Bears are 9-4, and the Rams got to play us next week, so I'm sure that's an easy win for them. I think that the Eagles team after this past week are giving up on the season. Hopefully not, because I do want to see them, show some heart, show some competitiveness, and finish the season strong, even though it's going to give us a higher draft pick. At this point, it's a win-win for me. If they play hard, that's what I want to see, because I'm going to continue to watch them. If they don't, then I guess it's a better draft pick, and somebody that's increasing the chances of somebody getting fired. But anyways, Bears, Rams, at Soldier Field, Sunday Night Football. Bears win 15-6, holding Jared Goff, under 200 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 picks, 4 interceptions. Todd Gurley, 11 carries, 28 yards, 0 touchdowns. They held the Rams touchdown-less. And that might be the first time in Sean McVay's career that, or at least career as the head coach for the Rams, that they didn't score a touchdown in a game. I mean, this team looked like it was unstoppable. Again, the Bears have an elite defense. Khalil Mack brought them to the pinnacle of, well, I mean, it didn't bring them back to the pinnacle, but brought them back to their defensive. I mean, the Chicago Bears are recognized as a defensive team historically. And Khalil Mack is one of those players that have brought them back to that defensive identity. And, you know, again, they put it on full display last night. Chicago Bears, usually in their career, the best Chicago Bears are the ones that control the ball on the ground and then also play a stifling defense. And, you know, obviously they didn't get help from Mitch Trubisky. He threw 3 picks, but again, control the ball on the ground. Jordan Howard, 19 carries, 101 yards, averaging 5.3 yards a carry. When Chicago plays like this, I mean, if Trubisky doesn't throw the picks, you know, they're a dominant team. He needs to be better than that. And if he can be better and he could be more of a game manager rather than somebody who's going to be a turnover machine, Chicago has a good chance of beating several teams in the NFC. Because, I believe a defense travels. I don't think anybody wants to play Chicago in the playoffs because their defense is dangerous. So, again, if I was to redo my top 10, I'm saying Saints, Rams, Chiefs, Patriots, Bears, and to be honest, I might switch the Patriots and Chiefs, but because the way New England lost to Miami, I mean, that's inexcusable. Rob Gronkowski, I can't fault him for not making a tackle. He doesn't play defense, so he doesn't know really about angles to tackle. It was a bad look. But then again, you know, Miami always has the Patriots number. They always get a game on the Patriots, you know, every now and then. So the Patriots are still going to be in the AFC Championship game, and you best believe that because it damn sure won't be the Steelers. Steelers losing to the Raiders. I'm not even going to get into the Steelers. But losing to the Raiders is not something you want to do. And speaking of the Raiders, this is the last thing here. First of all, I congratulate them on beating the Steelers because I don't know there's a lot of people in Vegas upset right now that put a lot of money on the Steelers to win the game. And since the Steelers were a heavy favorite, a lot of people lost a lot of money. So that's number one. Not me, so you don't have to worry about that. Number 2, Raiders fire Reggie McKenzie. And to be honest, I'm not even surprised because I think we seen the writing on the wall as soon as John Gruden got hired. 10 years, $100 million. Why do you need a GM? Why the hell is someone that has, you know, the biggest contract as a coach, 10 years, $100 million, going to listen to a GM? If you give a coach 10 years, $100 million, that coach can make any decision he wants. He is the GM. And that's exactly what's going to happen. If they do end up hiring a GM, it could be a title position. John Gruden's going to be running that team. Again, I've seen this from day one. It was inevitable to happen. They gave Reggie McKenzie an option to finish the season, but, I mean, to hell with the Raiders. They made them look bad enough already, allowing John Gruden to trade those guys away and Reggie McKenzie being the fall guy because he's the GM. I mean, I hope that he gets a job somewhere else, but, you know, I'm glad that he's getting out of Oakland or getting away from the Raiders organization because I think that he can be a solid GM. But, you know, with the Raiders and their history, you know, he never really had full control as a GM like some of these other teams would. So hopefully Reggie McKenzie finds a place to call home. I think he's going to be somebody that finds a job fairly quickly in the offseason. I think he should. Again, you know, being with the Raiders has not done him any favors, but I think that a team should give him an opportunity to be a GM. And again, him being African American, being black, I'm sure that he will he'll get interviews for sure. But I'm hoping that he finds a place, because I think he got the short end of the stick, and basically is the fall guy, the scapegoat for the Raiders. Season this year, what John Gruden has done or undone with that team. So then again, hey, I appreciate you guys. Again, this is not the unofficial review. This is Chuck It Up, the Chuck It Up podcast with your boy Charles Wilson, aka Chuck. Again, we like to give a big shout out to our sponsor, King of the Game, Best in High School Sports Highlights. Hit them up for your video needs. What we like to do is we like to make highlight videos for those athletes that don't know exactly how to make it, as far as music, title, placement of specific plays. There's a certain science to setting these up and how to edit them to get the most out of it, because a lot of coaches, they don't really watch the whole highlight. They're looking for, number one, has to catch their attention. Your best plays have to be up front. And not just your biggest plays, but your best plays. And there's a huge difference with that, because the first play is going to tell the coach everything he needs to know about everything after that. If your first play, because they go into watching highlights as if your first play is your best play. And if it's not a good first play, I don't need to watch the rest. So again, hit up King of the Game. You can find them on Twitter and Instagram at KOTG Media. Find them on YouTube, search King of the Game, and then also go on their website, kotgmedia.com. They still have a sale. They have extended their Cyber Monday sale out to Christmas. So you guys make sure you take advantage of that. Hot merch, got sweaters, hoodies, shirts, long sleeves, and this little foam holders, these right here, whatever those are called. But they have a big sale. Make sure you guys go out there, support them. All the money that's made is going into expanding the business and helping out more kids, provide them a platform to get more exposure. Again, this is your boy, Charles Wilson, with the Chuck It Up podcast. We hope to see you guys in the next episode. And always remember that action turns knowledge into power. Peace.